Hello, America. As you may have heard, we were found not guilty of breaching the peace of the city of Dearborn. Turns out that having a peaceful discussion in public just isn't a crime in the United States. The prosecution tried to argue that we were inciting a riot, that we were blocking pedestrian traffic flow, and that we were a threat to public safety. Fortunately, the jury saw through all of that. Our video footage exposed quite a few lies during the trial. After the trial, it was interesting to see the response of Dearborn Mayor John O'Reilly. Did he apologize for the treatment we received in his city? No. He continues to condemn us. In fact, he continues to deceive people with respect to our ministry. In an article for the Detroit Free Press, the mayor said, "It's really about a hatred of Muslims. That is what the whole heart of this is. Their idea is that there is no place for Muslims in America. They fail to understand the Constitution." The Constitution? What's that, Mayor O'Reilly? Didn't think they taught you that one in Evil Mayor School. I don't know if the mayor has noticed, but we haven't been saying much about the Muslims of Dearborn. The only Muslims we've spent much time talking about were the security guards who physically attacked us last year for recording a peaceful discussion in public, and Amal al-Islami, a Muslim woman who joined Roger Williams in lying about us in an attempt to get us arrested this year. The bulk of what we've said in our videos has been about the Dearborn Police Department, the Chief of Police, the Mayor, and Roger Williams. Not a lot of Muslims on that list. So what's Mayor O'Reilly basing his claims on? Is he saying this based on our video footage of the festival? Let's take a look. The mayor says that these Act 17 guys hate Muslims. Perhaps that's why Nabil said at the festival,
I want to make something perfectly clear. My family is still Muslim. A lot of friends I have are still Muslim. I love these people.
you see, he hates them.
Jesus promised to love everyone regardless of that whether I know them or not.
Hates them.
If I don't love you, I wouldn't be talking to you.
Why does he hate Muslims so much?
Jesus said regardless of who and religion I'm supposed to love you. That's why I'm wearing the shirt. It says Jesus always loves you. No matter who you are, I'm supposed to love you.
Obviously, Nabil has a major problem with the Muslim community. What a bigot! He's just trying to make Muslims look bad.
I'm not trying to make it look.
Are you sure, Nabil?
I'm not trying to make it look.
Well, why are you at an Arab festival looking for trouble? You do hate Arab people, though.
I don't hate other people when I come to America.
Nabil's Pakistani, but his last name is Qureshi, which means that his family line ultimately goes back to the Quraysh tribe, Muhammad's tribe, which was Arab. How can he have so much hatred for his own people? But Nabil isn't the only Islamophobic, racist bigot in Act 17. There's also his partner, David Wood. Tell me if you've ever heard anything as despicably hateful as this. This David Wood character obviously disagrees with Muslims, which means that he must want to persecute them. Watch him advocate the open persecution of Muslims. Disagreement of the ideology. And when you have a disagreement, the appropriate thing to do is to discuss our differences. Since these guys obviously hate all Muslims and want to see them persecuted, they must believe, as Mayor O'Reilly says, that there's no place in America for Muslims. I bet they advocate expelling all Muslims from America. There are people in the United States who don't want Muslims here, who don't want Muslims, they say Muslims go home. We're not among them. I want, more than anyone in the world, I want Muslims to come to America so they can see the difference between a culture that allows oppression of disbelievers, oppression of women, subjugation of apostate, killing of apostates, to see what life is like when those people are protected, when women are protected from being beaten by their husbands, when people want to leave Islam for another religion are protected. I want them to see this. Are these guys really saying that Muslims and non-Muslims should get together and discuss their differences? Someone needs to lock these guys up. That's Nabil. Don't forget David. Please tell me someone remembered to grab Nagin, take her property, drag her away, rough her up, and toss her in jail so that she doesn't get all of this on tape.
And right over here for me, please.
Stop touching me!
Listen, this is what they're doing. This is what you need to do. You need to listen.
You're touching me!
Okay.
Don't take the camera! Don't take the camera!
Thank you, Corporal Kapanowski. Don't let those teenage girls give you any lip now. My friends, the real problem here isn't that we hate Muslims. We don't. The problem is that in our overly politically correct society, people don't understand the difference between loving people on the one hand and disagreeing with their views on the other. Nabil and I were best friends throughout college. This was when he was still a Muslim. We argued all the time. He argued that Christianity is false and that I should convert to Islam. I argued that Islam is false and that he should convert to Christianity. It never occurred to us that we hated each other simply because we had theological disagreements and argued about them. And this is why we're having such a difficult time communicating with the leaders of Dearborn. Mayor O'Reilly's way of thinking is totally foreign to us. We don't see any connection between challenging Islam and hating Muslims. What's the connection? Why is it impossible, according to the mayor, to disagree with someone and yet love them? I don't know. But if that's the mayor's position, I have to say that he's just condemned himself. By condemning us for bigotry and hatred, Mayor O'Reilly has just accused Muhammad of bigotry and hatred. And according to Mayor O'Reilly, to criticize Muhammad is to engage in hatred and bigotry, which would make Mayor O'Reilly a hate-filled bigot, even according to his own silly standards. Let me explain what I mean here. Since Nabil and I criticize and challenge Islam, Mayor O'Reilly concludes that we hate Muslims. So what's the moral principle the mayor is appealing to? If you criticize and challenge another person's religious beliefs, you must be filled with hatred. Now, if that's Mayor O'Reilly's position, he has to conclude that Muhammad was the most hate-filled person who's ever walked the planet. Why? Because Muhammad condemned the religious beliefs of all non-Muslims. Let's take Christians as an example. Surah 5, verse 17 of the Quran says, "Certainly they disbelieve who say, 'Surely Allah, He is the Messiah, son of Maryam.'" So if you believe in the deity of Christ, you're a disbeliever, according to Muhammad. What does the Quran say about the disbelieving Christians and Jews, the disbelievers from among the people of the book? Surah 98:6. "Those who disbelieve from among the people of the book and among the polytheists shall be in hellfire to dwell therein. They are the worst of creatures." According to the Quran, Christians are the worst of creatures because we believe in the deity of Christ. Since we're blasphemers, what should Allah do to us, according to the Quran? Surah 9:30, "And the Jews say, Uzair is the son of Allah, and the Christians say, the Messiah is the son of Allah. These are the words of their mouths. They imitate the saying of those who disbelieved before them. May Allah destroy them." How they are turned away. And how are Muslims supposed to act towards Jews and Christians, the people of the book? Surah 9:29 declares,
and do not accept the religion of the truth from among the people of the book, until they hear the Jews with willing submission and feel themselves to do.
What's that? Fight those who attack you first? No. Fight those who do not believe. Mayor O'Reilly calls us bigots because we challenge Islam. Well, Muhammad challenged Christianity and Judaism and paganism, which makes Muhammad a bigot, according to Mayor O'Reilly. But Muhammad didn't simply challenge Christianity, he commanded his followers to fight and subjugate Christians and Jews and to kill pagans who refused to convert to Islam. What would that make Muhammad, according to Mayor O'Reilly? Some kind of super bigot? The mayor also says that Nabil and I don't believe there's a place for Muslims in America. We've said the exact opposite, and we've never said anything else. So his criticism doesn't really apply to us. But I can think of someone it does apply to. The moral principle Mayor O'Reilly is advocating here is this: if you want to expel members of another religion from your country, you're a bigot. Hey, Mayor O'Reilly, any idea what Muhammad said about Arabia? Sahih Muslim 4366. It has been narrated by Umar bin al-Khattab that he heard the Messenger of Allah say, "I will expel the Jews and Christians from the Arabian Peninsula and will not leave any but Muslim." Was there a place for Jews and Christians in Arabia? None. There was a place for Jews and Christians in other lands conquered by Muslims. We get to be second-class citizens called dhimmis. But in Arabia, there was no place for Jews and Christians. This would make Muhammad a hate-filled bigot, according to Mayor O'Reilly. And now we've got a problem. Mayor O'Reilly calls us bigots because we criticize Islam. But if we follow the mayor's claims through to their logical conclusion, we find that the mayor is criticizing Islam too, which would make him a bigot, since anyone who criticizes Islam is a bigot. See what happens when you toss around words like hate and bigot without thinking carefully about what you're saying, Mayor O'Reilly? If you'd think a bit more carefully about your approach to Islam, you'd realize that there are three basic positions when it comes to Islam in the West. First, you can ignore the fact that there are differences between Islamic law and Western values. Just pretend the differences don't exist and maybe they'll go away. Or at the very least, you can pass the problem on to the next generation, let them deal with it. This seems to be the mayor's approach and the overall approach of Western leaders. Second, you can draw attention to differences between Islamic law and Western values. Point them out, bring them to the surface, discuss the differences, debate them in public. Then people learn what the facts are on both sides of the issue, and everyone realizes that we can discuss sensitive topics without wanting to kill each other. This is the position of Act 17. Third, you can get angry at Muslims and burn Qurans and say that we should nuke Mecca and call Muslims names like raghead and camel jockey. That's the position the mayor apparently attributes to us, but that's the position we're trying to keep people away from. You see, the mayor's position, let's call it the ostrich approach, will not end well. You can't ignore the conflicts between Islamic law and Western values forever. And if you continue to ignore them, the tension is going to build, and we're seeing this all around the world, until people finally can't take it anymore and people on both sides react in a really bad way because they haven't learned to discuss difficult issues like adults. Our approach is to bring the issues to the surface and to address them. Yes, things can be a bit tense and uncomfortable initially, but in the long run, both Muslims and non-Muslims will realize that we can discuss Muhammad and the Quran and Sharia without resorting to threats, intimidation, violence, false imprisonment, rights violations, roughing up teenage girls, etc. Three approaches, ladies and gentlemen. Take your pick. We've taken ours, and we stand by it. Now, I suspect that Mayor O'Reilly will continue his campaign of deception and misrepresentation. Perhaps he thinks it will help him win votes in Dearborn. But mark my words, the approach he's taking, stamping out open dialogue, trampling on the Constitution, and persecuting, even prosecuting, people who believe that Muslims are actually capable of having public discussions on sensitive topics, the approach he's taking can only lead to disaster. There's a reason the United States protects the free exchange of ideas. It's the best way for society to advance. It's the best way to deal with disagreements and problems. With that said, I issue this challenge to Mayor O'Reilly. Instead of calling us hate-filled bigots, instead of misrepresenting our position, instead of leading the public astray, how about we all get together for a public discussion, a debate even. We'll present our views on Islam, on the Arab Festival, on the actions of the Dearborn Police Department, and on your comments about us. And you can present your views on all of these issues. We'll go back and forth for a few hours. Then the audience can make up their minds based on a fair and open discussion. That's how we do things. Last year, Mayor O'Reilly, you had a meeting about us, and we weren't invited. How about having another meeting, one we're allowed to attend? Ball's in your court, Mayor.